Hey everyone, welcome to the Fresh Financial Year Workshop. I am so excited to be here with you guys. All right, so I am recording this for those of you who are wanting to watch the replay, but I am also chatting here with several of you live. So if you're watching the replay, bear with me as I am answering questions and responding to those of you who are live here with me. Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much for your feedback in the chat. I appreciate it. One of those challenges of being a one-woman show here. So yeah. So I am so excited to be here with you guys. This is my 5th year to do this Fresh Financial Year Workshop. The Fresh Financial Year Workshop was the very first webinar workshop that I ever did when I started about 5 years ago. And I did it on, I think, New Year's Eve or the day before, something like that. And here we are 5 years later. And I cannot believe that it has been so many years. And I have been able to help thousands of people through this workshop. And I love to put it on every single year because I think this is the workshop that the people get that y'all get the most fired up about. And I get the most feedback about, oh, yes, I'm ready to do this. And, let's go, let's tackle these goals. And I am someone who, as you can imagine, finds any excuse to re-up my motivation and get excited about my goals again. And the new year is no different. There's just something I think that is magical about the beginning of the year. And I always say, and I'll say throughout the year, that you don't need January 1st to have a fresh start. You don't even need the first of any month to have a fresh start, but sometimes it helps. And I don't know about you, but I will take any little bit of help I can get when it comes to getting excited about life and getting excited about my goals again. Yeah. Erin's like, same here. I'm always looking for something to remotivate me for sure. And if you guys know that I follow the Power Sheets, and in the Power Sheets goal planner, every single month, they are giving you something to refresh your goals and remotivate you. And then every quarter, it's even more of a refresh. And so I just think that it's natural to go through those lulls and those highs and lows of where we feel so super motivated and other times where we struggle to get out of bed. I feel like that's being human. That's being a normal human being. And it's okay to find things to help us get back to those highs again, right? The planner I'm talking about is the Power Sheets Goal Planner. And you can find my affiliate link at sunnysideuplife.com/power sheets. And I'm an affiliate for them. And I'm so proud to be. And this is my 5th year using them. And I'll talk about them a little more at the end. If you have any questions, let me know because I'm obsessed with them and I will show you mine on camera if you have more questions. But for those of you who are maybe new to my audience, I'm Sammy and this is my husband, Daniel. And we have 3 daughters, June, Izzy, and Mel. June is almost 10. Izzy will be 7 in just a few days, and Melanie is 5. We are a homeschooling family from East Texas. We spend our free time, well, excluding COVID, but we spend most of our free time camping, boating. Those are the things that we love most. We recently just bought 18 acres full of pine trees, and we are so excited to start building our dream house in hopefully about 4 months or so. So it's getting really close. So that is us in a nutshell. We used to be in about a $500,000 worth of debt. About 6 years later, we are where we are now. So yeah, you can find everything that you need to find about me at sunnysideuplife.com or at a Sunny Side Up Life on pretty much every platform, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, all of that good stuff, Pinterest, everything, as well as my podcast, a Sunny Side Up Life podcast that comes out every single Thursday, and my YouTube where I put out 2 videos a week. So I'm all over the place. You'll have no trouble keeping up with me. I'm on my Instagram stories, probably too much, but that's me. So before we really jump into this, I want to remind you to put your phone on silent. I have my phone on Do Not Disturb right now, and I actually practice this pretty regularly to help me hyper focus when I am in the process of working on something really important, right? So I want to remind you to stop scrolling, put your phone on silent. get comfy, get a blanket. I have mine. Get your coffee. I also have mine. And get ready to take some notes because I have a lot of information to drop on you before our time here is up. All right. Also, there will be a replay for any of you who have little ones. I know how that goes. Like I said, I have three of my own. They just happen to be at their grandmother's house right now. All the praise hands. So I will be sending you a replay as soon as this is over. Thank you, Christine, so much for that link. Yes. Oh, Shannon, I love you too. You're so sweet. Okay. So, you guys, it is that magical time of the year. We are at the beginning of a fresh new year. We have this beautiful moment with a clean slate where anything feels possible. And like I said, we sometimes need that excuse to get remotivated and get re-excited. Oh my gosh, V, I'm so glad you're here. Let's be intentional with the motivation that we feel and make this our best year yet, right? And I don't care if it's cliche, if people are like rolling their eyes about new year, new me, blah blah blah, and being extra cynical about it because sometimes you guys, that's what we need to change things around. And I know for a lot of us, a lot of our big changes in life started on a January. And that's me. Like we started our journey in October and it took me until that new year spark to actually get serious about it. And I know several of you are the same way. I know V's story is similar. Like it was a January when she decided, nope, not living this way anymore. I'm going to turn it around. So sometimes we need that excuse, and that's okay. And don't be psyched out by people who are bitter on social media and tell you that you shouldn't set New Year's goals because they never work, blah, 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 whatever. We don't subscribe to that narrative here. Not at all. So I know that you guys showed up here today because you have big goals, and most of them are financial goals as well as we have other goals in our life, right? And you guys are ready for some real solutions. You want to get started, you want to stay motivated, and a lot of you are needing to get your budget set up or get your budget a little more organized and a little more fine-tuned, which is what I'm here for. And I know that you guys ultimately want to take steps to get to that financial freedom that you are craving. Maybe you feel overwhelmed. Maybe you're ready to make big changes, but you're not sure exactly how or which one to do first. And sometimes when we get excited, we start to kind of just barrel into things and put the cart in front of the horse and not really know exactly what we're going to do. But I'm here to help you guys get that all lined out and get organized and take that motivation and funnel it into something productive. So I want you guys to stay tuned until the end, and I will show you how to take your budget to the next level in 2021. So, today you will learn where to start in the new year, how to set good goals, how to overcome your old mindsets, because we know that there's so much more to our financial journey than just the numbers. A lot of it is our mindset and our motivation and doing all the hard work and all of that stuff that sometimes feels like therapy, but needs to be done to make true progress. And I want to show you guys how to stay motivated all year long because there's a statistic about how a certain percentage of goals people will flake out on their goals by about the second week in February or something like that. That's not us, guys. We are going to stay motivated all year long. And when we start to slip, we're going to remember that we're human. We're going to give ourselves grace and we're going to pick ourselves right back up and keep going. I'm also going to show you simple, actionable tips because I'm not someone to just hype you up and then leave you with nothing to actually do. So I want to give you things to actually do right now, things that you can do as soon as we get off this call. So you're not just like, she got me all motivated, but now I have no clue what to do. No, we're going to do both. So I'm going to give you some simple, actionable tips that you can actually apply to your budget as soon as we get off this call. So I want you guys to let me know in the chat, what money goals are you working on in 2021? What part of your budget are you on? Are you just starting it? Are you looking to fine tune it? Are you looking to get more organized? Are you looking to just stay motivated? Let me know in the chat where you are at, and I'm going to take a drink of coffee. Yes. Debt freedom. I know V is going to be debt free in a few months, and I'm so pumped for her. Maria is just starting to pay off debt and budgeting. Amazing. Christine, yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh. I can't read that fast. Shannon has huge goals. Yes. Christine's like V, debt freedom. Every dollar for 4 years. Currently on baby step 2. Emily, awesome. Ashley is working to pay off debt. Dana has 2 months of living. Yeah, have 2 months of living expenses. That's awesome. Marissa wants to be more organized. Emily, student loans suck. They definitely do. Yes. Erin, goals to get an emergency fund, become debt free. Lynn is paying off some debt. Shannon is going to stick to her budget. Oh my gosh. There's so many good ones in here. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Baby number 5. What? You guys are incredible. Like these are some amazing, amazing goals. And I asked last night on my Instagram story for you guys to brag on yourselves about some things that you had done in 2020. And I was like, these are incredible things, like so amazing. Yes. So at least look like you guys are surrounded by other amazing women here who are doing these incredible things that you are also working on, or maybe we're a past goal, or maybe are going to be a future goal, but we're all on the same journey. Some of us are just a step or two ahead or behind of each other, right? But we're all here on the same journey. So remember that there are so many other people that are doing what you want to do. So maybe if you're in your regular life and you're like, no one around me gets what I'm doing. No one understands why I don't want to go out to eat every other night and why I don't want to go on this crazy expensive vacation, or they don't understand why I'm living in this old house or driving this old car, or doing whatever sacrifices you are making to reach your goals. Maybe if people don't understand in your real life, I want you guys to remember this moment that there are thousands of other people doing what you want to do, right? We're on this journey. And if you ever need any motivation, follow the debt free community on Instagram. Look up the hashtag and find people to follow. That is who your feed should be full of. So you can remember that you are not alone on this journey at all. Okay. So if you're unfamiliar with our story, I'm going to give you a quick recap and then we will get started with the actionable steps. And I'm so pumped to share this with you guys. So back in 2014, we basically hit rock bottom. It was the hardest year of our entire lives, of our entire marriage. We have been married since '08. So we were a few years in. We had just had our second daughter, Isabel, and we were like, our credit cards were all the way maxed out, all of them. We had absolutely no money in savings. We were fully at rock bottom. We were like 3 or 4 years behind on our property taxes. We were a few months behind on our house note. Like it was pretty scary there for a little while. So I finally started. I had really terrible postpartum depression with our second daughter. I had just become a stay-at-home mom. Everything was turned upside down basically. And so towards the end of that year in October, like I mentioned, I started tracking our spending. I had no idea how to do a budget. I didn't know that this was a thing. I didn't know that there was a whole world out there of personal finance people. I didn't know that even Dave Ramsey existed. I literally knew zero about this. Okay. Hadn't read a book about it at all, nothing. I started tracking my spending. I'm like, okay, I'm going to at least be intentional. I can at least, I'm at least in control of how much I spend at the grocery store and how often we go out to eat. So that's kind of where I started. I didn't know what else to do. And it took me about 3 months of kind of doing that, of fumbling around, of wandering through the dark kind of thing. And then in January of 2015, I got that New Year spark that we're all probably feeling right now. And I was like, all right, let's go. I can do this. It's January. Nothing is stopping me now. Let's go. Izzy was about a year old. So I was getting to sleeping normal. I was starting to feel like myself again, all of that. And I was like, let's go with this New Year's motivation. I added up our debt. It was almost $500,000. I had absolutely no idea that we were in that much debt, which sounds ridiculous, but it's true. We had 3 pieces of real estate, 2 houses, 1 piece of land. Like we had, like I mentioned, property taxes, credit cards, personal loans, money from my failed business. Like there was everything there. And I had absolutely no idea what we were doing. But I did know that I couldn't live at this rock bottom anymore. I did know that I was the mother to 2 children and I was married to the man of my dreams, and that this was not the life that I had signed up for. Daniel and I have been together since high school, and we used to go on dates and dream about the days that we would be married and we would have kids and we would have our own house and all these things. And this is not what we dreamt of. This is not how it was supposed to feel. And so I was like, something's got to change. And I stumbled through it and I didn't know what I was doing, but I learned through trial and error. We never thought that we would be able to be 100% debt free. We thought that that was something that only ultra rich people do. Only people who like I don't know, send their kids to Harvard and like have a yacht and like do like crazy rich people. Those are the only people that are debt free. That's what I thought. I knew absolutely nothing about this. And we just started stumbling through it. And through trial and error, we figured out what would actually work, what was actually realistic. We ended up getting pregnant a couple of months into this. It was in January that we got pregnant, but obviously I didn't know until like February. So we were a few weeks in, and I'm like, we're pregnant again. Now we're having a third child. That just stepped up my motivation even more. And by the time we actually had Melanie, we had some money in the bank. Daniel was able to take a little bit of extra time off work when she was born, something we didn't do with the other girls. Our life had completely turned around in a year. Obviously, we weren't, that much into our debt freedom, but we had money in savings. We were on top of things. We were making progress. It was crazy. And so I learned things that we could do to that actually worked, and we still lived. Like, we still went camping. We still went on an overnight trip to the beach. We still went out to eat here and there. We just learned to cut it back. We learned how to balance it and make it fit our goals, right? And we got serious and we turned our lives around. And so we did break a lot of quote unquote budgeting rules, but it still worked. And I'm going to show you guys how, in some of my actionable tips, how it actually works. And that's what I do with my one on one clients. I'm like, you guys, I have so many clients who will say, on our first call, I don't want to cut this out. I have a lady who comes and cleans my house. It's like literally half my clients. I have a lady who comes every other week and cleans my house. Please don't make me get rid of my cleaning lady. And I'm like, you definitely do not have to get rid of your cleaning lady if that's a priority for you. I just want to let you know that your goals are going to be slowed down about $100 every 2 weeks. Otherwise, you could move $200 faster if you didn't have your cleaning lady. And they're like, no, I'm going to keep it. I'm going to keep her coming. Okay, cool. That's your priorities, right? Or if they're like, I want to go on a vacation once a summer. I don't care how long it slows down my debt free journey. I don't care if it pushes my retirement back a couple of years. That's a priority to me. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's make it work. Right. Yeah. Christine's like, that's the big thing. You have to make it fun. Yeah. You have to make it fit within your goals and your priorities. And we're in real life, guys. We're not like never see the inside of a restaurant. Okay, sure. How long are you going to be able to sustain something like that? A month or two? Like, that's not sustainable. We want goals that are going to last for a long time. We want this to be a lifetime change, right? I mean, in a pandemic, a while, yes, but there's still the drive-through, right? Yeah, you can see the inside when you go through the drive-through. We'll count that. We'll count that. I've seen the inside of Chick-fil-A through the drive-through window a few times. Exactly. Fair enough. Yeah. So now we have completely changed things around. Like I said, this has been several years. We were 100% debt free for about 2.5 years. We were able to cash flow our truck. We were able to cash flow me a Suburban at the very beginning of our journey. We're on our second boat. We bought an RV, and of course we have bought older vehicles. We bought things that we could afford to cash flow. We are living in a tiny 2-bedroom house. Like, we've made sacrifices, but not to the point that we don't have fun because we have a boat. So we kind of were like, oh, we'd rather live in a 2-bedroom house so we can cash flow this boat, right? And we found the priorities that worked for us. And now we are in debt a little bit because we just bought our 18 acres and we are a few months away from starting to build our dream house with a net worth of almost $300,000. So a big, big change here. But I want you guys to remember that your budget won't be perfect. There are going to be times that you go over budget. There are going to be times where you forget to put something in your budget. And you know what? You're going to be 100% normal for doing that. Even I do it. It happens. But the thing is that your budget does not have to be 100% perfect for you to make progress. You don't have to never go over budget to be able to hit your goals. Okay, that's just the reality of it. It doesn't have to be perfect. And as soon as you think it has to be perfect, you put yourself in this bubble that is unrealistic to stay in. And it's claustrophobic, and you hyperventilate and you bust out of it and then you quit. And that's not what we want at all. We want you to remember that you don't have to be perfect, that you are able to make imperfect progress. And I want you to be brave enough to do that. Okay. I want you to be brave enough and bold enough to put yourself out there and say, I'm going to change. And it's not going to be 100% perfect. I'm going to fall down sometimes, and that's okay. And I'm going to be normal. I'm going to be human when I do this. But it is really scary to set ourselves up for such a big goal with the potential of, what if I fail? That's terrifying. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you that you probably will fail, at least to some small degree. We do fail sometimes. We fall down sometimes. Yeah. V's like, I've been budgeting for 5 years, and every month I mess something up. Like, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, but the most important thing is that you stay focused, you stay motivated, and when there is a little slip up, you don't quit, because that's not going to help anybody get anywhere at all. You can't ever get to your goals if you quit. So where do we start? Okay, where do we start? So we start with discovering and focusing on our why. And you'll probably hear this with a lot of your goals. You can apply this to every single goal, not just your money goals. But you have to know why you are doing it. Because if your why is, I want to pay off $50,000, how much emotion is attached to that why? Kinda. Yeah, sure. But if your why is, I want to cash flow a boat so I can spend my summers outdoors with my kids, quality time with my family. It can be just us. It can be, and you start to paint this whole picture, which was one of my whys, obviously. And now when I start to kind of get off of my motivation, I go back to that moment and I have this visualization of me, my husband, my kids on our boat, no one else around, with our favorite music playing, the kids splashing in the background. Like, I have this whole picture, and I have these moments, these little visions locked in my head of, this is my why. How I feel in those moments, that's my why. When I know that we get to travel and we get to go on camping trips and we get to stay in our camper, we didn't have to borrow it for somebody. We didn't have to stay in a hotel and sleep in somebody else's bed. Like, that might seem silly to you, but to me, that's my why. To be able to get outdoors, to get quality time with my family. That's why I do it. Maybe for you, it's you want to quit your 9 to 5 and you want to turn your side hustle into your main income. Maybe it's that you want to retire early or retire your partner early, or you want to switch to part time so you can be home with your kids more. Whatever it is, maybe it's all of those. I don't know. Maybe you want to travel internationally. Okay, we all have our thing. Whatever your why is, it's not enough to just say it. Okay, I want you to visualize it. I want you to know how you are going to feel when you get there. How are you going to feel when you get there? Let me know in the chat. What are some of your whys? So I can give you some like detailed examples here, you know? And I want you guys to have a visualization. I've had this visual image for years of what it is going to be like when we build our dream house. This is a lot of when we still had our other house, when we were still in debt. I already had this visualization of our dream house, where we were going to be, how it was going to feel to wake up in this house, what we were going to do in our day to day. And I knew what it was like. Carrie said, help her daughter pay for college. Exactly. Being able to freely give to causes, traveling, visiting national parks. Yes. Exploring national parks. Yes. Helping St. Jude's, travel. Exactly. Not having a mess for your kids to pick up. Yeah. Yes. I mean, be able to retire someday, buy a vacation home. I mean, yes. Not having a mess for your kids, it's huge, huge. Yes. Yeah, take trips. You guys, those are memories. Those are not just arbitrary numbers. These are feelings, these are emotions. This is how we want to live our life. Okay? Peace of mind. Exactly. You want to be able to sleep at night. Jeez. Like, is that too much to ask? So those are the things that I want you to write down in your goals. When you're setting your New Year's goals, I want those to be the things, not just lose 10 pounds, not just pay off $20,000. Those can be your goals, but I want you to know your why. I want to feel good. I want to be here. I want to do this. So I want you to brainstorm. I want you to dream up some good goals. I want you to have a picture of what they look like. And I want you to remember that there are no wrong answers. And you don't have to tell anyone. If there's something that's slightly embarrassing, you're like, oh my gosh, if my friends knew that this was my goal, they would think I was crazy. You do not have to tell anyone. If you feel silly about it, who cares? You don't have to put it on social media. You don't have to announce it to the world. You do you. And that's like, you do you. Okay. So, how do we set good goals? So, we're like, I have a lot of goals, but how do I make sure that they're good goals? So, there are a lot of things that we want to do. You can probably sit here and list like 20 things off the top of your head that you would love to do. That would be a goal, especially once you really get going. You're like, go ahead and dream crazy. I want a Range Rover. I want to travel internationally every single year. Like, you can get going after you get going for a while. But I want you guys to focus when you're thinking about your money goals specifically. Obviously, you can have other goals, personal goals, relationship goals, things like that. But I want you to focus on 1 to 2 money goals at a time. Okay? And I want you to remember that you're like, "Well, I have so many. How can I only pick 1 or 2?" Just 1 or 2 right now. And you can reevaluate later. You can switch it up mid-year. You can, it doesn't have to stay these 2 and only these 2. But I want you guys to remember that we don't want a quick fix. We want true progress. And sometimes that means slow and steady. Sometimes that means that it's a little bit boring. Sometimes that means that there's not a win every single week. So we have to create our own. We have to figure out how to stay motivated. Okay. And we're going to lay a foundation for success this year. We're going to actually set good goals and actually set things that are going to actually be achieved, right? We're not going to just write them and then a couple months later we're not even going to remember where that list is. We're going to actually do this. So the first thing we have to do is we have to do the heart work. Sorry, but yeah, we have to do some of that stuff that kind of feels like therapy. So we have to overcome our own mindsets. We have to let go of the fear that is holding you back. Honestly, what is the worst that could happen if you fail, if you fall on your face? That's it. That's it. You're going to pick yourself up and you're going to keep going. Okay. You have to understand what your fears are. What are your fears? You're afraid of failing. You're afraid of embarrassing yourself. You're afraid of XYZ. And then face them and realize that you're not the only one struggling with these things. Okay. And know your weaknesses. If you know that you can't be trusted with a credit card, don't have one. If you know that you can't be trusted to go wander Target without a list, don't do it. Okay. If you know that if you go to the grocery store and you just wander around, you're going to go way over budget, don't do it. Take a list or do grocery pickup or whatever it is, right? If you know that if you don't pre-make your coffee the night before, you're going to go through Starbucks and that's not in your budget right now and we can't do that. So don't set yourself up for failure. Know that that is a weakness of yours and plan accordingly, okay? Because we have big goals and we're not going to let these little tiny things trip us up. Also remember that you're allowed to change. Yeah, that's like a mind blown right there. You're allowed to break free of that box that you've put yourself in or maybe someone else has put you in. If you're like, "Oh, I always screw up. I set goals and I never achieve them. I'm just going to flake out again just like I did last year." Stop. Don't put yourself in that box. Why would you sell yourself short like that? Exactly. Yeah, Jessica's like grocery pickup. Yeah. Old mindsets can also be how you were raised. Yeah. Financial mistakes from the past. This is where it gets real like therapy and like legit, you might need professional help. And that was me. Like I was in therapy for over a year and it was one of the best things that I ever did because I had to overcome a lot of old mindsets. Maybe it's overcoming financial mistakes that you've made in the past. You're like, if you do this, you're just going to screw it up again, just like you did. If you open another business, it's going to fail just like that other one. And you're going to end up with debt. You're going to hurt your family, whatever it is. Feeling like you don't deserve to have money, worthiness, anyone else, worthiness. I don't deserve to be rich. Who am I? Who am I? Or any other unhealthy thoughts you have about money, because there's a lot. So I want you to take some time and I want you to reflect back on those old mindsets, or when you feel them come up, when you hear that inner voice that's like, Sammy, you screwed up in the past, you're probably going to do it again. Right? Let's walk through that. Let's journal through that. Let's talk to a professional and get help and overcome this. Other aspects could be guilt. Maybe you feel like you shouldn't be successful because other people are struggling. Maybe everyone else in your family is struggling, and why me? Do I think I'm smarter than everyone? Do I think I'm better than everyone? I think that I deserve to not struggle while other people are struggling. Yeah. Shayna's like, toxic money examples growing up, and I don't want to put that on my kids. Exactly. Some people think that being rich somehow makes you a bad person, that like as soon as you become rich, you're going to be this greedy, like Scrooge person. You know that you can't donate to charity when you have no money to donate to charity? You can't give out scholarships when you have no money to give out scholarships. You can't buy Christmas presents for foster kids when you have no money. So being rich is not going to necessarily make you a bad person. Money is a tool. It is not the thing that defines you. Or feeling like somehow you don't deserve money, right? Or that maybe if you start this, your family's going to have to go without luxuries. My gosh, I can't drive my kids around in a used car. Okay. Like you're going to be fine. Get over the guilt. Realize that you're working for something bigger than that. Is going to be fine. Another aspect that is huge is getting over the living for the weekend mentality. This is like we live paycheck to paycheck for so long, and we live in survival mode for so long that we think that that's all there is. If this is all you think about, this is all you're going to have. So we have to broaden our horizons. We have to zoom out past the weekend, past the month, past the year, and realize that we're on a long-term journey. We're on like a 10-year, 20-year lifetime journey here. And that our family deserves so much more than we're going to go out to eat on Friday night. Our family deserves so much more than let's just look forward to this one thing, this one trip in the summer. Your family deserves like a 10-year plan, a plan for retirement, a plan if you want to help them go to college, a plan of not leaving a mess for them, like so many of you already said. That's what your family really deserves. So you want to talk about my kids, I have to take my kids out to eat because they want to go. I have to get them the newest thing. I have to drive them around in a brand new car. Okay. Well, let's talk about what your family really deserves. And so I want you guys to focus on, maybe write these down or take a screenshot if you're on your phone. What are your whys? Okay. Why do you want your life to be different? Why do you need to change? This is not just the numbers. This is like, why? Why do you need to change? So many of you already listed reasons. You don't want to leave, a bad place for your kids. You don't want to pass on the toxic money relationships. What do you want that future to look like? And these are the things that I really want you to journal on and work through as you're setting your goals. Maybe you've already set a few, but we can still work through this, okay? So yeah. Shannon's like, I'm so stressed. I work hard and I deserve peace. You do. We are worthy of peace. And I also think that we somehow feel like that if we're not stressed, if we're not busy, exhausted, hustling, any of those kinds of words, that somehow we haven't earned our rest. That somehow we haven't earned it. That's just not true. That is a false narrative that we have somehow subscribed to at some point in our lives. It doesn't have to be true. So how do we stay motivated all year long? Christine says that, yeah, that's one you write down on a sticky note. We are worthy of peace. Definitely. Definitely. How do we stay motivated all year long? So first of all, we remember that overwhelm kills motivation. You know those times when you're panicked and you're trying to get out the door and you're dropping everything and you can't remember anything, you can't think straight, and then you get all the way out to the car and then you realize you forgot your phone or you forgot your drink, and you know why? It's because yeah, that's a real emotion, this hand motion. Remember that overwhelm and that panicked feeling kills your motivation. You cannot be productive when you're panicked, when you are overwhelmed, when you are overstressed, when you're exhausted. Okay? So if we want to stay motivated all year long, we have to focus on that why. We have to zoom out and we have to look at the whole entire year as a whole, not just this little microscopic 5-minute span of I'm going to do what feels good and I'm going to completely ignore where I want to be in a year. And one of the ways we do that is we plan out our entire year budget. Everybody's like, whoa, an entire year? Yeah. This is what I do with my one-on-one clients. One of the very first things, literally, okay, it's the second thing we do. It's what we do on the second call with on my 12-week program. We plan out the entire year. And as soon as we do that, it's not even on our free calls. As soon as I tell my clients this, that I'm going to do this, they're like, oh, man, if I could just see the whole entire year, that would be such a weight off. Because it would be like you wouldn't go just blindly into it. I'm going to tell you how you plan out your whole entire year. Yeah, when your income is all over the place, it can still be done. It can still be done. It's a little more challenging, but it can still be done. And I'll tell you in a minute. But that brings so much peace. And it also brings you motivation because you're like, I have a plan for 6 months from now. What? And you keep going. Exactly. Once you know how much your bills and your spending are going to be, which is part of this is, yeah. Who said that? Jessica said that? Yes. So a lot of it is you plan out your bills, you plan out your spending. Okay. Even if you work on commission or your income is all over the place. I have several clients who work on commission. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. One family, they're 100% commission. They're one income family and they're 100% commission. Another one, he is a real estate agent, so completely on commission, right? Yeah, it can still be done. So you plan out your bills. Your bills are going to be the same regardless of your income, right? I'm pretty sure you're going to pay your bills probably, right? Your spending is going to pretty much be the same. If you have a higher income month, then you might get a little bougie with your grocery shopping or go out to eat an extra time, but the bare bones of your spending are going to be the same. So you plan those. And then you have a plan for whatever's left over. So you're like, okay, I need $2,000 this month for bills and spending. I don't know. That's probably low, but just for numbers, I need $2,000 for spending and bills together. And if my check is 3,000, so I'm going to go ahead and have a plan for that extra 1,000. Or what if my check is 5,000? I'm still going to have a plan for that extra money, right? So you have a plan for whatever is left over. You know for sure what your bills and spending are going to be. They're going to be that regardless. What am I going to do with the money that's left over? No matter what it is, this is where the leftover money is going to go. Is it going to go to pay off debt? Is it going to go to savings? Is it going to go to a little bit of both? Right. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in a second. Oh, we're going to talk about it right now. Sorry. With your leftover money, you can start to make a goals timeline, which is one of the things I do. So we plan out the whole entire year. And then we know when there is money left over, this is what goal we're going to focus it on. And we can, if your pay is somewhat predictable, you can go ahead and plan. I'm going to have $200 left over. I'm going to have $1,000 left over. And this is what I'm going to do with it. over this much time, this is what it's going to do. And this is literally my favorite thing about coaching is making this plan for people. And I will geek out and I will sit here for hours on end and plan out your entire year for you. And it's a little nerdy and it's almost like, yeah, I do geek out. And I will just put my earbuds in and I will just listen to music and I will plan your entire year and I will not get up one time. That's what I do. And I am just like someone wants me to do their budget for them. And it's my favorite thing ever. And so you break your goals down into small actionable steps. You break these goals down and you're like, oh, well, I want to save $10,000, but that's a really big goal. That's really scary. Maybe I should just quit. It's too much. It'll never happen. No, you break it down into quarters. You break it down into months. You break it down into pay periods, weeks, days, whatever you need to do, what works for you. I get paid every single week. So what could I do? How could I break this down? You get paid every month, or maybe you get paid every week or every other week. Some things that we do is if we have a two income household and we have one partner who gets paid once a month and the other partner who gets paid every other week, for example. If there's that bigger pay period where both partners get paid, that will be the time, like any of that extra money will go straight to savings. Like we'll make customized plans like that. Yes, Christine's like debt-free charts. Yeah, any kind of visual will really, really help. So you guys make a plan, find that healthy balance between a realistic plan and burnout. Like we don't want it to just be like, oh, it's realistic. I'm going to just stay nice and comfortable. I'm not going to push myself. Or the other extreme where you're like, I'm going to work 100 hours this week and I'm going to never go out to eat. I'm not going to do anything fun. Okay, because neither one of those is really good because we don't want to play it safe. We don't want to just be super comfortable and not push ourselves. We don't push ourselves so much that we burn out and we quit. So we work on that happy medium. And we also realize that sometimes we do go a little gazelle intense. Sometimes we do hustle. But also remember that hustle does not need to last forever because it's not sustainable and you will burn out and you will quit. And that's not what we want. So if we do go into a little hustle mode, I'm going to hustle for 3 months or 6 months and then I'm going to chill. And then I'm going to rest a little. Then I'm going to go on a trip and reward myself, or I'm going to, we don't want to burn out, but we also don't want to play it safe. And that's something that only you can know. Only you are the judge of. Your hustle might be a different level than my hustle. Okay. But I want you to get excited about these goals and I want you to make them your hobby. And I say like, get obsessed. I get obsessed with my goals and I'm all about them. I mean, it is literally a hobby of mine to plan my goals, achieve my goals, get hyped up about my goals, text my friends about my goals, cheer them on about their goals. Like, yes, all the things. Work towards these goals every day with small actionable steps. Okay? Remember that when you do put that name brand back and you get the store brand and it saves you 50 cents, that's small, but it is an active step. When you say no to going out, when you know that it's not in your budget, that is a small active step. Okay. When you choose to take on a side hustle, that is an active step. And I want you to celebrate these wins, no matter how small they are. Celebrate them, clap for yourself. Find people who will support you, who will cheer you on. Have a group text message with your best friends that you can type every single silly goal to them. You can text every single win to them and they are going to send you so many heart emojis, right? Yeah, V's like, yeah, that's me. Yeah. That's what we do in our group message. Me and V and Megan will hype each other all day long in our group message. And that is everything. Okay? Find those people for you and they don't have to be in your hometown. Go in the debt-free community and start DMing that girl that you think is super cool. Get in a group text message with her and hype each other up. Celebrate yourselves. Okay? Also realize that time is going to pass one way or the other. You know what? We thought that 2020 would never end, and guess what? It did. Because time keeps going one way or the other. through the good and the bad, and time is going to pass. Your kids are going to be 5 years older in 5 years. Like there's nothing that you can do that's going to change that, right? Time is going to pass. So let's do something productive with the time that we have. We have a brand new year ahead of us, so let's do something productive with it. I also want you to realize that this is not a punishment. Paying off your debt is not a punishment. It feels like it, but it's not. This is, you made a decision to go into that debt, like it or not. And student loans kind of, they go, they're there. I mean, it feels like a punishment, but it's not. We made a conscious decision to go into debt, and we have to pay it off. If we want to get to a comfortable retirement, we have to save for it. That's not a punishment. It just is life. So quit playing the, oh, woe is me card and feel sorry for me. It's so hard. No, we're going to pick ourselves up and we're going to do it. We're going to surround ourselves with motivation. Okay. Whether that is a group text message or like awesome music when you're planning your budget, get hyped. Okay. Use visuals, like someone mentioned the debt-free charts, or make your own. Go on Pinterest. There are thousands of ideas. And there's so many other people who are making like coloring in charts right now. And there's so many things that you can do to have fun with it. And I want you to keep checking back in with those goals. Okay. This isn't like we just write them out in January and we stuff them in a drawer and we never remember them. Okay. Literally, I'm just going to show you this right now. These are how my power sheets stay. They stay open. They are open to December right now because I haven't set my January goals yet because that's going to happen tomorrow. And my 2021 power sheets, they're also open right here because I leave them open all the time. And that's how you achieve your goals. Okay. You check back in with them often. Yeah. Christine's like, there's a big goal that takes delayed gratification, finding a small reward. Exactly. So we're going to talk about some actionable tips. And these are the things that you guys can start applying literally as soon as we get off this call. So make sure that you have a notebook ready or ready to take some screenshots, things like that, because these are definitely going to help you. Okay. So first of all, organizing your bills. So we start with the bills. These are our constants, okay? These are the things that have a due date, and they're somewhat of an unflexible amount. Obviously, like your electricity bill and things like that are gonna vary a little bit. But they basically don't have any control over how much these things cost unless we want to move. So these are things like your electricity, your water, your internet, your phone, your TV, any subscriptions that you have, your rent, your minimums on your debt payment. So these are all your bills and they all have due dates, right? So the first thing that we want to do is we want to organize these. And this is one of the things that we do when I do one-on-one coaching. I do 90-minute setup calls and we get everything planned out. And this is what we do on that 90-minute call. We plan all of this out. So we write all the bills out and we make sure that we have a description, a due date, and an amount. And even if the due date varies, write a range. You know, if it goes from sometimes it's the 3rd, sometimes it's the 5th, write that on there. Okay. At least somewhat of when it's due, at least somewhat of how much is due. Okay. And we also either write them in the first place or go back and rewrite them, which is what I do. We just kind of will do like a brain dump into here, and then I'll go back and I'll rearrange them in due date order. And this helps you so much because you want to know, you want to be able to I say pinch them. Okay. And when you're doing it on your computer, you can highlight them, but you know that you get paid on the 1st and the 15th, for example. So on the 1st, you're going to go in and you're going to pay everything that's due from the 1st to the 14th. And you kind of just pinch, okay, everything in this little spot, all that's due. And then when I get paid on the 15th, okay, everything that's due between the 15th and the 31st, pinch, copy, paste, all of that is due. And it's that simple. And when they're in order, it's literally that simple. And you're not hunting, trying to find which ones are due, right? That's what we do. So before payday, you sit down and you determine which bills are going to be due during that pay period and an estimated amount of how much you'll need, how much they total up to. And I do an estimated column because it's good to plan ahead. But then I also do an actual column and I do it right next to each other. And if you have my worksheets, this is literally a screenshot from my worksheets. And then on payday, we'll sit down and we'll reassess. Okay, what do I actually owe? What actually is my electric bill to the penny? I estimated it's going to be $120. It's actually 132.04. We need to do both because we need to know ahead of time what we can kind of expect, but then on payday we need to know the actual to the penny amount. And it's really important to do both. And then we want to continue to keep up with our bills throughout the budget period. We want to check off what has been paid and also what is cleared because those are two different things. We want to know when money is still pending. We want to know when it's fully cleared and all of that. Okay. So then when we cut back with our spending, whew, that's the fun category, right? So spending, those are the items that don't have due dates. Those are the ones that we're in control of the amounts. So those are things like our groceries, our gas, our restaurants, our travel, our clothing, our extras, our fun money, pet food, allowance for our kids, whatever it is. Those are those things that we have a little more control over how much they are. And I also even go a step farther and I keep these in completely separate bank accounts. So I have a bills account with a debit card. I have a spending account with a debit card. And later in a second, we'll talk about sinking funds. I also have a sinking fund with a debit card. I keep these completely separate. You could also do your spending in cash if you're a cash spender, and keep this separated and do your cash envelopes and have an envelope for every single category. That's do you. Cash does not work for me because I pay at the pump and I buy everything from Walmart grocery pickup or Amazon Prime. So it's cash is not for me, but it might be for you. So if it is, give it a try. And if it doesn't work, change it up, right? So with our spending, we start with tracking our spending. And if you don't know how much your spending categories need to be, if you have online banking, which like 99% of us do, go back to the past 2 or 3 months and figure out what you normally spend. I printed mine out and I got different color highlighters, green for groceries, blue for gas, pink for restaurants, whatever. And I figured out what my average spending was. And that gives you an idea. That gives you a goal to beat. Oh, I spend $500 on restaurants, which like that's actually happens. So I want to make it $300 or whatever. And you can have a goal to beat when you do this. So write down every single purchase that you have and keep track of the total of those categories. Okay. And like I said, find your normal and then try to beat your normal. So we group these up into categories. And like I mentioned up here, these can be your categories: groceries, gas, restaurants, things like that. Group these up into categories and keep up with how much you're allowed to spend, which is your estimated, right? Before payday, you go in and you say, I'm going to spend $200 on groceries. And then as the budget period is happening, you can keep up with how much you actually spend, right? And your actual column and how much, like kind of a running total. And so you can know what is remaining. Okay. And you update these frequently and you stay on top of it. And you can do this, like you guys are mentioning apps. There's different apps you can use. You can do pen and paper. You can do like me and make Google spreadsheets. You can get my Google spreadsheets. You can do anything like that. I personally love the sheets because I have to have a super customized budget because we do a 4-week budget, then 2 weeks, then 4 weeks, then 2 weeks because my husband's pay schedule is super weird. So I had to make my own and I had to make them custom. So you do what works for you. And if one form doesn't work for you, if an app doesn't work for you, try a different app or try a spreadsheet or try pen and paper. Or if you get bored with one of them, switch it up and do something else. Okay. You don't have to feel stuck with whatever medium you're using to do your budget. So then I want you to set up your budget for each category and make sure that you're always adapting and adjusting. Okay. So you might only be putting $20 in your restaurants right now because all you're doing is going through the drive-through and grabbing lunch every once in a while or grabbing a coffee here and there. You're not actually going into a restaurant, depending on what your COVID situation is. But maybe 6 months from now, maybe things will be better and we'll be going back to restaurants and things like that like normal. And so just because you set a certain amount in January doesn't mean that has to be your same amount in July. Also, just because you set a certain amount for your groceries this week doesn't mean it has to be the same next week. So make sure that you're always adapting, you're always adjusting, you're making a fresh budget every single time. And then also make sure that you're tracking as you go and that you're keeping up with what is remaining. And seriously, just paying attention is going to do wonders to your spending budget. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. We will talk. Yes, we're going to talk about all the emergency fund stuff. Yes, definitely. So we are going to also talk about starting a sinking fund. So those are for those kind of irregular things. These are the things that I find that usually will come in and kind of mess up a budget. And these are the things that I get a lot of questions about. How do I plan for these types of things? The irregular things that sometimes get forgotten. Or sometimes we want to stick our head in the sand and pretend like we're not going to need to spend money on them. These are those kind of things. So these are things like holidays, birthdays, and holidays are not just Christmas. That's also, do you spend money on Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, anniversaries, Easter, Halloween, 4th of July? I mean, there are a lot. Okay. And we want to stick our head in the sand and pretend like we don't go and drop $100 on Halloween costumes. But yeah. Okay. Yeah. Christine's like house repairs, vet bills. Yes. 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 Anything irregular. And this can be completely customized for your family. Okay. Yeah. Braces. Like if you know that it's going to be time for braces, that might be something you want to put in a medical sinking fund. Vet bills for sure. Okay. And I even have people who have pets as a category in literally every single, they have bills because they have their pets that are on regular medicine or shots or something, or have a standing grooming appointment. That could be a bill. But then you also have it in your spending because it's like pet food, or maybe you want to put grooming in there. But then you also have it as a sinking fund because you're like reoccurring vet bills. Exactly. He's like, yeah, that's us for sure. My Duke is not that bougie. He just like, he gets his food and every once in a while he goes and gets groomed, but he's like really the most low maintenance dog. Praise him. Yeah, clothes is another one. That is a great sinking fund. So what we do is we do our clothing, we do bulk clothing shoppings twice a year. And I do a sinking fund for that. So I know that in April and in October, I'm going to refresh everybody's wardrobe. I'm going to get new shoes. I'm going to do whatever needs to be done. And I have money ready for that. I do a sinking fund for that. It could also be vehicle registrations, taxes, any kind of, if you have quarterly bills, like we pay union dues, which are not fun to pay every quarter, but we can do a sinking fund for them. And then they don't sneak up on us and they don't hurt our budget. Yes, back to school expenses definitely are a great thing to do a sinking fund for. And even if you don't know the amounts, so things like vehicle repairs, home repairs, vet bills, things like that, we don't necessarily plan for those things. We don't know how much they're going to be always. So then we just kind of pick a number. Maybe you just want to put $50 every week or every month in a sinking fund. And that kind of depends on where you are in your journey. How much can you afford to plan ahead for these things, right? Which can be totally customized depending on your situation. So we keep a running list, and January is the perfect time to start this. So if you've never done a sinking fund, this is your call to action. Start a sinking fund. And also know that it won't be perfect. Okay. Yes. So it's like multiple funds. So there are different ways that you can keep the sinking fund. And this is really a miscellaneous category, and there's not a lot of rules. You do it your way. So I do it as a debit card account and I have all the money kind of just thrown in there. And then in my spreadsheet, I have it broke down. I know, there's a big lump sum of money in there, but in my spreadsheet, I know what's what. And I do a debit card because if I'm going to go Christmas shopping, I want a debit card. If I'm going to order Halloween costumes, I'm going to do a debit card. If I'm paying our union dues, I'm going to do a debit card because I'm going to pay it online. There are also people who love to do a savings account. And if you have an Ally savings account, they literally do have a bucket system where it will virtually split it up and you can see it split up. Ally represent. There are some people who do cash envelopes for their sinking fund, and they just literally have an envelope for every single thing. You could do a combination of all of these. I personally love the debit card, but I know that other people do them differently. Yes, definitely light bulb, definitely changing your budget. This will definitely change your budget. So you come up with things, brainstorm out some things that you want on this, but also know that these are not set in stone. Okay. So you might forget something. You might not. Well, I just reminded you of Mother's Day and anniversaries and all those things, but you might not have thought of those at first. But as it comes up and you're like, oh crap, I didn't leave any money for Mother's Day. I wish I had that in my sinking fund, but I don't. Oh, I'm going to take it out of my extras money and my spending. But next year, you're going to remember Mother's Day, right? So you'll add it to your list as you go. And it won't be perfect your first year, but it's going to be real great your second year. Okay. And then like 5 years in, you're going to just have it down. Yeah. So flexible spending accounts are considered. So sinking funds are going to be those like things that you are basically going to add to little by little. Okay. So we're going to kind of come up with a total, and you're like, I would like $1,000 a year to go into my vehicle repair fund. So we're going to come up with a total, and then we're going to divide it up. How often do we want to contribute to it? You don't have to contribute to it every single pay period. You could do it every week. You could do it bi-weekly. You could do it monthly, whatever works for you. Just divide it up by how often you want to contribute to it, and then decide where you want to keep it. Cash, debit card, savings. What do you want to do with it, right? Does that make sense? Does that answer your question? Is it flexible spending? So this is not really the same as like your groceries and things like that. That's different. That's just regular spending. Okay. And then if you have it as a savings account, you'll just withdraw it when you need it. The main goal here is to be contributing to your sinking funds throughout the year and to not let those random expenses sneak up on you and totally ruin a good budget. And like I said, it might not be perfect, or you might be contributing to your vet bill sinking fund, your pet sinking fund, and it might not be all the way full. You only have $100 in it, and then you have to make a trip to the vet and it was $200, but at least you had something started. Okay. And like I said, your first year, it might not be perfect, but that's okay. It's better than nothing, right? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm reading the comments. Sorry. So next, let's talk about paying off your debt. So you should include items that you owe anyone. So this is everything from credit cards, medical bills, your house, personal loans, friend loans, medical bills that are in collection, anything. There are a lot of people will be like, we'll be on our call and they'll list out their debt and they'll say, well, I also have a mortgage and I also have student loans, but that doesn't really count. No, it also counts. It also counts. You might not want to be hustling to pay off your mortgage like you would be your credit cards, but it also counts. So make sure you include everything in there. Also make sure that you have all of your information in one place. So write out your debts, make sure that you have where they are to the institution, the interest rate, the starting balance, what your current balance is, and the minimum payment. You need all of these things, and you need them all in one place. You don't want to hunt to find them, and all of that. So make sure they're all in one place. Make sure you know how much you actually owe, even if it is super painful. Knowing is half the battle, right? So make sure that they're all written out, and then write them out, rewrite them in the order that you intend to pay them off. There's also a lot of question of what order do we pay them off? Okay, so some people will do the snowball method where you pay them off the smallest balance to the largest balance, and that can be really great if you're looking for quick wins. Other people will pay off highest interest to lowest interest because it's costing you money, right? And so that's the avalanche method, which is also super effective, which if like you need to free up that money, you need to not waste money on the interest, that might be best for you. Or if you're working with me, we're going to probably come up with a completely customized plan. We might do a couple of quick wins, then we might do some higher interest. We might do, oh, this one, I hate it so much. I just want it gone. And that one moves up to the beginning. You might owe your parents money. That might go to the top because you're like, things are super awkward. And if you have to talk to them because I owe them money. And we might just move that up to the top because it's a pain factor thing. It's not even about the math anymore. It is a pain factor thing. Or we might, we'll just make a completely customized plan. So there's not a right or wrong. Don't let the debt free police come and get you. You make your plan the way you want to do it. Just know that there are options, okay? And there are pros and cons to both. So, smallest balance first if you need that quick win, highest interest first if you need to free up that money, or if just knowing that you're wasting money paying to interest, that just kills you, or if you have something that's making it super uncomfortable, or bill collectors are hounding you, maybe you want to move that up to the top. You do you. There's not a wrong answer here, okay? The most important thing though is that you know which one you're focusing on. We're not splitting this up into 50 different things. We're focusing on one debt at a time. So we want to pay our bills. Like I mentioned earlier, we want to transfer our money to spending. We want to separate out our spending money. We want bills and spending first, like I mentioned a while ago. And then we're going to use whatever money is left over to pay off our debt as quickly as possible. So like I mentioned earlier with if we don't know what our income is going to be, right? We know what our bills are going to be and we can plan what our spending is going to be. And any money that's left over, it's going to go to this number one priority. Regardless of if that's $100 left over or $2,000 left over, that's where that money's going to go. We can also look for ways to lower our bills and free up our spending money as we go and make even more money to pay off debt. But that's what we do. We can also look for ways to increase our income. Those are the only two things you can do, you guys. Lower your expenses, increase your income. You can do both. Okay. You can pick up a side hustle. You can sell stuff around your house. Don't be afraid to do something crazy if you have big goals and you need to mix things up. Our family moved from a 3,000 square foot house into a tiny 700 square foot, 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom house. And we've lived here for about 3.5 years because we wanted to do something crazy to mix it up and completely change the trajectory of our family's financial story. Right. V's at her Rover house, pet sitting right now, her side hustle. Don't be afraid to do something crazy like stay at someone else's house and babysit their dogs. So yeah, freeing up spending. There's so many ways that you can free up spending. Yeah. You can get rid of some, yeah, definitely get rid of some of your subscriptions, be really conscious at the grocery store, things like that. There are so many different things that you could do. Subscriptions are the first thing on the chopping block. I don't know. I've tried to tell some of my clients, hey, maybe we should get rid of one of these subscriptions. They're like, I'll cut back at the grocery store. Never mind. Just don't tell someone they have to cut out their cleaning lady, okay? Don't tell a busy mom that she has to cut out her cleaning lady because she will not be okay with that. She will go without food. So let's talk about increasing your savings. This is the last part. There's 5 parts to a budget: your bills, spending, sinking, debt, and savings. And savings is the best, and we save it for the last. So the savings section should include any money that we want to stockpile instead of relying on debt for our emergencies and for our big purchases. So we don't want to rely on debt when our car breaks down or our pet needs to go to the vet anymore, right? We want to be prepared. We want to think ahead. We want to have savings. We don't want to rely on debt next time we want to buy a new car, next time you want to go on vacation, anything big like that. We want to plan ahead and have cash to do that. So we want to start with a small emergency fund, and this varies per person. It could be $1,000. Okay. And a lot of people say $1,000 isn't enough, but also $1,000 is better than zero. So if that's where you need to start there and let it grow. Just know that if you do start with $1,000, that to not just leave it at $1,000 and just call it a day, right? It can be something that grows over time. And so I like to say, let's start with 1,000. Let's maybe start with 3,000 and then really start hustling on our debt. But also, let's slowly contribute a little bit to savings as well. And that's why I said earlier about focusing on 1 to 2 financial goals. Sometimes we do need to do two. But what we do sometimes when a family has no savings at all, but they also have a ton of debt that they want to bulldoze through, we'll just do, okay, well, let's get our savings up to 1,000. Then we're just going to kind of put our savings on autopilot and contribute maybe just $200 every pay period, $300, like something kind of small, but something that will build up. And we're going to just put that on autopilot, $200 to savings, and then anything extra goes to debt. Okay. But I think it's really important if we are going to do two financial goals like that to make one of them a set certain amount. Like I just said with the savings, $200, anything extra to debt. Okay. And that's really the only time I'm going to say it's okay to focus on two goals at once, because sometimes we do need to save a little and let it build up as we are hustling through some debt. Then work towards getting your larger emergency fund. So this is like serious, I'm going to be okay if I get laid off, that type of savings account, like 5 to 20,000. Some people it's even more. If you're a high income earner and you are used to that high income, your 3 to 6 month emergency fund might be 50,000 or 100,000, okay? It really depends on your situation and all of that. 6 months yeah, and 6 months income. It can be. And there's not a perfect amount. So people say like a 3 to 6 months and they're like, is that my income or is that my expenses? It's really up to you. And a lot of people will do kind of just what feels good. So for us, our emergency fund was 15,000. It wasn't like a specific, it came out to, I don't know, like 5 months or something like that worth of expenses or worth, yeah, it was something like that. 15,000 just sounded good to me. Now it's only 10,000. Just it's not a certain amount of income, it's not a certain amount of bills, it's just 10,000 feels good. That's kind of what I went with. There's not really specific rules for this. And the other thing is the larger emergency fund after you pay off debt. Yeah. So focus on your larger emergency fund really after you get, it doesn't have to be all of your debt, because sometimes we will just do like the consumer debt and then the big emergency fund and then the student loans and the house and things like that. So should we have a small and a large emergency fund? No, not like both. It's just kind of more of a timeline marker. So it's like we want to really hustle to get at least something started. And then we're going to kind of focus that extra money on paying off debt. And then we're going to kind of go back to that large emergency fund. Yeah, consider it leveling up. Perfectly said. Yes. So we just kind of go to different phases and we let those goals grow and evolve as we go. Another thing that you can work on saving for is your next goal fund, is what I call it. This is the most fun part of your budget. This is where you save for vacations. This is where you save to cash flow vehicles and big home projects. I have several clients who are doing sinking funds for house repairs. I have other people who are doing big savings accounts for big home projects. Hold on, I think somebody has their mic on. If someone has their mic on, could you mute for me, please? Because I don't know who it is. Other home projects. So some people are saving up to cash flow big house projects like a complete kitchen remodel, types of things like that. So that could be something that could be a next goal fund as well. And I also don't want you guys to think that if you are on a budget, this means that you can never go on vacation. No, you just simply need a space for it in your budget. Okay. So same thing with savings. So make sure our bills are paid, our spending money is set aside. And then if we are to that phase where we are working to get that emergency fund built up, Oh, no big deal. No big deal. Um, just go ahead and focus any extra money towards your savings if that's where your goal is. Okay. And again, with the same thing, pick up a side hustle, look to lower your spending, things like that. Yeah. Yes. V is going to Yellowstone and budgeting it, of course. You guys have amazing goals. I'm so excited. So, again, only focusing on 1 to 2 financial goals at a time. Make sure that you have, if you are working on two, that one of them has a set amount, like your savings, and then make sure that any extra money goes to this one specific goal, and decide where that money needs to go. Okay, multitasking is not going to be productive. If you're trying to pay a little extra on this debt, pay a little extra on that debt, pay a little extra on that debt, you're going to feel divided. You're not going to feel focused, and you're going to feel like you're not really getting anywhere. Okay. So let's recap, you guys. Also, if you have any questions, go ahead and get your questions prepared. We're going to do questions in just a minute. What time are we at? Okay. So today we talked about where to start in 2021, how to set good goals, how to overcome your own old mindset, stay motivated all year long. And I gave you some simple, actionable tips that you can apply right now to your budget. So I know that you guys showed up here today because you have some big financial goals. We all do, right? And you wanted some real solutions for getting started, staying motivated, and getting your budget set up. And I know that you ultimately wanted to take steps towards gaining that financial freedom. Maybe you felt overwhelmed, but I hope now that you are feeling motivated and excited, ready to make some changes and ready to take some action. So, you guys, if you are needing someone to say, this is your sign to turn things around, if you're needing someone to push you, to give you the invitation that to make the big changes, that person can be me. I want to invite you in this new year to stop living in survival mode, whatever that looks like for you. I want to encourage you to take control of your situation, to get serious about your money and your goals, and to start enjoying the financial freedom. And guess what? You don't have to be 100% debt free to start feeling that peace and that breath of fresh air that so many of you were talking about earlier, some of those whys. You don't have to be 100% debt free to reap those benefits. Those will start to happen basically right away. As soon as you start budgeting, as soon as you take control, and a few short months into your debt-free journey, into your budgeting journey, you are going to start to really start to see those rewards, okay? And you are going to start to enjoy the benefits of gaining financial freedom. And this is your time, you guys. If you're looking for something to push you into getting started, I want this workshop to be it. I want my voice to be the voice that you hear in your head when you question, can you do it? Because I will tell you, you can definitely do it. Okay. And it's time to level up, you guys. So if you are looking for budgeting worksheets, I offer my digital budgeting system. It's always $20. It is automated. It is gorgeous. It is organized. It is everything you need. I'm going to give you guys a link to it in just a second where you can go and get it for yourselves. I also have my full budgeting course, Your Sunny Money Method. A lot of you have already been through it. It is fantastic. It is completely self-paced. It is everything you need to know, all of the basics. It is regularly $87, and I am going to give it to you guys for $73. Aaron, yes, love the digital budgeting system. The course is actually going to get an upgrade in the new year in a couple of months. So this is the last time that you guys are going to be able to get it for under $80 because it's going to get a facelift and it is going to get a price increase. So be prepared for that. I'm going to give you that link in just a second for that discount if you're interested. And also, I am offering a brand new option. If you're on my Instagram, if you follow my Instagram stories, you probably saw me asking you guys what you guys wanted in the new year. And so many of you said that you wanted a short session of coaching. So normally I do one-on-one coaching and it's 12 weeks, which is a big commitment. And it sometimes is not what every person needs. So a lot of times in the beginning of the new year, we need just a small push. So I'm going to do these hotspot sessions, and these are going to be 3 60-minute Zoom calls where we get on Zoom just like this, except you have your camera and your mic on, and we're actually talking face to face. And we will get your budget completely set up. You also get my worksheets. I will set them up for you. We will completely plan out 2021. We will get you a goals timeline set up. We will get you completely organized. And we're going to do this in 3 short calls. Okay. The only thing is, like with my long-term coaching, we go into a lot more, like a lot of my clients say, therapy sessions. We go into the mindset, we go into all that. These are really just for getting set up, getting it quick, getting it done. 3 calls, you're planned out for the whole entire year, right? And those are going to be a one-time payment of $195. These are going to be very, very limited spots, and they are going to be closed when they fill up, or they're going to close on January 5th. Yes, it is exactly what you need. I'm going to give you guys the link really quick, and let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, I'm going to pop the link in the chat. If you're watching the replay to this, the link will be in the description. Did I have anything else? I was going to tell you what, yeah. But on this page, you can see the options. You can go on here for the coaching session. It'll pop you to my calendar. You can also see the course with the discount link, as well as my worksheets. And those of you who are asking about my power sheets earlier, there is my affiliate link for my the power sheets goal planner that I use on here as well. Okay, so that'll give you everything that you need at the link. It's sunnysideuplife.com/FFY, stands for Fresh Financial Year. And that's where you can find everything you need. Let me know if you guys have any questions before we jump off. I want to share with you a couple of wins from my past clients because they are incredible and they deserve to be bragged on. So Emily wanted to get organized and start paying off her debt. They were a 2-income family, had money coming in from all different directions, and just really felt super unorganized with it. So she said, working with Sammy, before working with Sammy, I had no concept where my money was going, how we were going to save money, or how we were going to pay off debt. My husband and I bring in more than we need, but I was constantly worried about money and never able to put money in savings. We also seem to get stuck in the cycle of not being prepared for unexpected expenses. Sinking funds, hello, we set her up with sinking funds, and having to pay off our cards after the fact. It turns out that the traditional way of budgeting and setting up a monthly budget didn't work for us. Yeah, we had to set her up a completely customized budget. After we've been working with Sammy for a couple of months using her method, and without exaggerating, it has transformed our finances and our lives. And now we are actually, I'm still working with Emily, and we are planning for her husband to turn his side hustle into his full-time job within the next year. So they are completely turning things around. Aaron wanted to break free from living paycheck to paycheck, and they wanted to start to travel more. And that is exactly what we started planning for her. So a year ago, they were living paycheck to paycheck and they were stressed out over their finances. At the time when we finished working together, Erin had $2,300 in her emergency fund, sinking fund set up, debt free in less than a year, and cash flowing, projects around the house, as well as a trip to Jamaica. And she said, I can't recommend Sammy's coaching enough. She is so kind, understanding, and knowledgeable. Her coaching gave us tools, knowledge, and motivation to make our dreams into a reality. And Christina, I'm so proud of Christina. She wanted to rebuild after her divorce and, stand on her own 2 feet as a single mom of 2. And she did it. She completely transformed her budget. We got her back on track. She started with her bank account overdrawn, her credit cards maxed out. And she said, for the first time in months, I can open my bank account without anxiety, without worrying if there's enough for groceries. I feel confident. I know exactly what to do on payday. Sammy went above and beyond to create a plan that was sustainable after our coaching ended. And Christina shared with me an update just yesterday. 5 months later, she started working with me in July. She has $6,800 in her emergency fund, as well as paying down $8,800 of her debt. And like I said, when we first started, her bank account was overdrawn and her cards were maxed out. So she has done incredible things in 5 months. So I want you guys to know that at the link that I provided for you, the tools are there wherever you are on your journey. If you just need the worksheets, if you need the Power Sheets Goal Planner, if you need the self-paced course, if you need the one-on-one help, whatever you need, everything is there for you. The answers to your questions are there. The motivation to keep going is there. The support that you are looking for is there. All you have to do is take that first step, okay? So now we're going to move into some Q&A. I'm going to stop screen sharing and oh my God. Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me go back to your questions. Okay. So Ashley said, I'm interested in purchasing a hotspot coaching, but January is hectic to me. Can I schedule appointments for after January? Yes, actually send me a email and I will give you a special calendar. If that's something that you're interested in, because I only have the calendar open to the end of January. But we could work something out for you custom. Oops. Hold on, let me make the chat bigger because it's like, yeah. Okay, make it a little bigger so I can actually see more than one question at a time. Yes, Christina, debt-free charts are great. Actually, if you get my course, I have 2 customized charts that Heidi from Debt-Free Charts made me years ago that are in there. One-on-one clients, all of my 12-week program spots are full currently. But you can get on the waiting list if you would rather wait for a one-on-one coaching. Let me find that link for you. But all the 12-week spots are currently full until about February. So Ashley, like you asked, if you would rather wait for a 12-week spot, you can wait, and I'll open those back up in February. What are some of the little tips, tricks, life hacks, and challenges you gave yourself and your family on the journey to ditch all that debt and to get to where you are today? So many things. So a lot of it was really simple intentionality, like being intentional at the grocery store, watching when we went out to eat. We were really intentional with things like that. When we did go out to eat, we were trying to be super budget friendly. Like we would share a plate, we would, order water, like all those really small things like that. We also sold so much stuff around our house, literally thousands of dollars worth of clutter turned into cash, and we put that money towards our debt. And for us, the biggest thing really was downsizing our house. Obviously, like that was thousands upon thousands of dollars, as well as when we moved to a smaller house, it made our electricity cheaper. It made, all those kinds of things cheaper. So a lot of things like that. And I think that a lot of it is sometimes we want like this cheat sheet of things that we should follow. But I think most important is planning out your budget, being intentional, and really tracking your spending as you go, and making sure that those little tiny purchases, like the frivolous things that you don't actually need, making sure that those things don't sneak in and ruin your budget. So that's really the best tips and tricks that I can give you. But there are so many other little things. Yes, you're so welcome. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. There are still quite a few of you here. So I want to answer any questions that you guys have before our time is up. And yes, you are so welcome, Marissa. Thank you guys so much for showing up. I really hope that this was helpful to you guys. I want to make sure that I've answered any of your questions. If there was anything that I missed when I was going through my slides, I was trying to pay attention, but sometimes I miss things. Yeah. And any of you who are watching the replay, just leave your questions in the comments below, and I will be sure to answer them as soon as I see them. And you can also email me or DM me on Instagram anytime, and I'm always here to answer your questions. Thank you, V. I love you. So yeah, I hope that this was really helpful to you. Make sure to check out that link. Those links will be expiring. So if you are interested in the one-on-one sessions, if you want to get one of the hotspots go ahead and book that as soon as possible because they will fill up and they will end on January 5th. And if you want to get on the waiting list for the 12-week program, make sure you do that. Or if you want to go ahead and just get in the self-paced course, make sure you do that before the coupon code expires. Where would sinking funds be in your priority list? Between emergency fund and debt payoff or after? So they would kind of be during. Sometimes if we really need to hyper focus on an emergency fund would be first, I think. But a lot of times you can kind of put your sinking funds in as you go, and make sure that it kind of balances out with paying off your debt. So sometimes your sinking funds might not be as much as you hoped they would be. You can't do the full on, I want to spend $2,000 for Christmas. I want to go on a $10,000 vacation. Maybe you can't do all of that in the beginning, but you can do a little bit of a sinking fund, $20 for your pets, $50 for your vehicle, things like that as you are working to pay off your debt. So it's kind of a during situation, if that makes sense. Okay. Yes. Okay, I kind of added it as a bill and I wasn't sure. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Christine, I see your message. I'm going to. Okay. Yeah, Christine, you can feel free to send me an email afterwards if you want to chat privately. My email is sunnysideuplife@gmail.com. Let me know if you guys have any other questions. Tips for talking to your husband about large sums of money he wants to spend. So this is really tricky. So a lot of my biggest tip for communicating with your partner is really working on your goals together, working on dreaming together and getting excited about the big picture. Because a lot of times if we come in and we say, you have a YouTube video. I have a YouTube video about this. Do I? Will you find me the link? Because I don't remember. I have so many YouTube videos. Yes, thank you. You're amazing. So yeah, one of the things is dreaming with your spouse, your partner, and getting those goals together. So a lot of times if we come in with you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to not spend so much money, that's not really productive. It is really productive to dream together and say, hey, if we want to get this debt paid off or we want to buy this thing, this is what we're going to have to do. Like, I've come up with a plan. What do you think of my plan to get us to where we want to be? So it's a lot of looking at the big picture together and then working backwards and not coming in with a, you need to do this. It's, we are going to do this. This is how we're going to get there. And so kind of coming in with that kind of approach. Ooh, V with the link. Thank you. Yeah, you're so welcome. I hope that helps. Yeah, I think communication is really just the biggest thing, getting excited and dreaming together. And that's really what helped my husband and I get on the same page was we were like, we want to pay off this debt. He also wanted to. And I was like, okay, well, I've come up with this plan. What do you think? This is what we're going to have to do. And he's like, yeah, I guess I want to be debt free. So sure. And also when you can start to plan in things that are exciting for him, like cash flowing, a new upgrade in truck, which was one of my husband's things. He is like, okay, well, we have to get XYZ debts paid off and then we can save to cash flow a truck. Cool. If that's 3 years away, oh, well, we're going to stay motivated and that's what we're going to do. And so that was something that was really, really helpful and motivating. Anyone else? There's still quite a few of you here, so I don't want to miss any questions that you have. Don't be shy if you have a question. I have like a couple more minutes. That's the wording I needed. Perfect. And I have to go pick up my children from my mom's house. So just a couple more minutes if you have any questions. All right. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and log off. If you think of anything later, be sure to email me, DM me, anything like that, and I will be glad to answer your questions. Don't forget to check out that link if you're interested in any of those offers that I have for you. You guys are so welcome. Thank you guys so much for showing up, hanging out with me. It was so great to share all of this with you. And I wish you guys all a very happy new year. And I hope that you guys go into 2021 crushing your goals. I cannot wait to cheer you guys on along the way. Yes, you guys are so great. Thank you guys so much. Okay, I'm going to go. Bye, guys.